Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all having a great time in Las Vegas. My experience with day two sometimes is slower moving people, but you guys all look great. So welcome. I'm Bart Bettiga. I'm the Executive Director of the National Tile Contractors Association. It's our honor to put on a pretty cool session. I think this is a really interesting session that I think we're going to have today. I've been the Executive Director of the NTCA for 20 years. And I don't know that I've ever done a session like this. So, where we bring a consumer in and a tile contractor and talk about an experience. And I think we have a lot to learn from this. So I'm excited about it. I'd like to introduce Jason McDaniel and our guest, Amber Truckee. I'm just going to ask Jason to just tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then we'll ask Amber a question.
Jason McDaniel, Stoneman Construction out of Portland, Oregon. Been a tile contractor, slab fabricator for going on 22, 23 years. This kind of resonates with me because I set tile wrong for a large part of that, just with how I was taught. So really spent the last 5 or 6 years just trying to educate myself as much as possible. I'm a CTI, and in about 2 hours, I'm going to take an ACT here pretty soon. Started Global Tile Posse 6 years ago with Dave Bitton, and we just really strive hard to talk about positivity and helping this trade grow in a positive way.
Yeah, Jason, he's kind of like me. We're extending ourselves a little bit. I mean, the fact that Jason's actually taking off from here to take an ACT certification test on the show floor this afternoon, I think everybody should give him a hand for doing that, actually.
Thanks, Bart. Appreciate that.
We really appreciate that. And then, Amber, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Amber Truckee. If you're here, you probably are here because you saw the video, so you know
Maybe
what
not.
happened there.
We don't know. Maybe not.
I hired some contractors that I thought were going to be able to take a tub out of my house and put in a walk-in shower, and they attempted to do that, didn't do a great job at it, and then came back and smashed it up with a sledgehammer. So.
How about personally? What do you do for a living? You tell us a little bit about who you are.
Sure. So I'm a sales and marketing director for an assisted living. Very passionate about my job. I've been in the industry for about 5 years. It's a weird job to explain to people, but basically I'm just helping families who are in crisis find a good place for their loved one to live, whether they have dementia or they need some physical help. The community that I work at is amazing, and I love my job, and I spend a lot of time at work. So.
And I just want to say that Amber lives in Colorado. She flew in for this. She's become friends with Jason through this process. We're going to go through that, but I just want to thank you for being willing to take time out of your own personal life to come in and share your experience with us. Yeah, give her a hand for that. So I'm just going to ask the guys, everybody in the room, just raise your hand. How many of you are actually tile installers or work for tile installation companies? Okay, so we have a lot of that. How many of you have had, experiences with customers that you weren't all that thrilled with, right? Yeah. So we're going to get this out right in the air right now. Amber and I and Jason have talked about it. Our goal here is not to bash, really, poor workmanship, and it's certainly not to talk about was the consumer. Amber's going to explain her experience. I'm going to tell you, Jason and I are pretty convinced we know what happened here in this experience. So this isn't about he said, she said, or us be it, I told Amber, I've been at the NTCA for 20 years, and we represent tile contractors. And we know that there's times, that the consumer relationship with a tile contractor is a difficult process. And we know that we've, sometimes where the consumer, doesn't want to pay, and they're, fighting over small things, and lots of money is at stake. We know all about that. But we also know at the NTCA for 20 years, the number one tile complaint we get, the number one consumer complaint we get, and the number one problem we get from our members is shower installations. Yeah. And so, we're not naive to know that every shower is done right. And this is an example of that. And we'll go through this process. And this is just a little video. Some of you have seen it or seen some of these videos, but I think it's important to know that this thing has to be talked about because it was talked about beyond our industry, right? And Jason, we'll get into that.
A contractor with a sledgehammer makes an obscene gesture at a home surveillance camera, then demolishes the bathroom he just renovated.
We put weeks into this, thousands of dollars into this.
The contractor claims he's owed money, so he's going to destroy what he built. The owner is not home, but a neighbor pleads with him to stop.
Sir, please stop. Please stop.
Is somebody gonna pay me?
Sir, I'm just asking you to stop. It's not your house to destroy. This is
It is my property. This is my property.
ours.
I have receipts for everything.
I do understand that you...
The contractor's wife is there with him as he dares someone to call police.
I'm more than happy to deal with the police. More than happy. More than happy.
Homeowner Amber Truckee told Inside Edition she was horrified when she came home and saw her newly renovated bathroom destroyed.
It's just really hard as a single woman to watch a video of an angry man in your house violently in a rage, destroying your property and screaming.
She says she had already paid the contractor in Colorado Springs more than $3,000 of the $7,500 bill.
Talk about how you set up the payment plan.
One of the biggest mistakes I made was there was no contract. There was no agreement. They gave me an estimate, and then, at the end, they demanded payment 2 hours after they finished while I was at work and said, listen, I need to get home first. I need to check it.
The company says communication broke down and resulted in our company repossessing a tile shower. It has never happened before and is not something that is made regular practice.
Let me tell you something. No contractor in the state of Colorado will fix that when they found out I took it back because you refused to pay me.
Actually, that's not true. Since that video was made public, 3 contractors have offered to fix that bathroom for free.
Wow. So when you see that again, tell me, what does that make? I mean, the first thing I thought was, I don't know about all of you guys, but when I asked Amber first was, first of all, it's never okay, right, to go in and damage anyone's property. That's the first thing I would say, no matter how angry we might be sometimes. But second was, $7,500, that's what this thing broke down over $4,500. Maybe talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So when they started, they asked for a deposit. I guess I should actually back up and just say, I just bought my house. I've had it for like a year and a half. I don't have any experience with owning a house or hiring contractors. My stepdad is a master plumber, and I grew up with him and his buddies all helping each other out, and small businesses working for my dad and my mom, and I just kind of went that route. I didn't want to call some big chain. I wanted to find a contractor, but I didn't know the ins and outs, and I probably should have asked him for some help there, but he's in another state and busy, and it seemed legit. They sent me a kind of like an estimate and said, here's where we're at. They asked for a $2,000 deposit, and then they asked for a couple more payments after that. And then when they were finished, they asked for the rest, which I think came to just shy of $4,000.
How did you find them? I mean, you said you went out searching and you just didn't have that many people respond? Because we're all busy, right? I mean, it's a tight market.
Rough. Yeah, Colorado's really rough right now for home renovations. It's a common complaint that we can't get people to even keep their appointments to give us quotes right now. I, being new to Colorado, posted in a couple of Facebook groups just saying who's used who and did you like them, and give me some recommendations. This is what I want to do. And I wrote down the people that got the most references, and then I went and checked like their Instagram pages and if they had a website and their Facebook pages, and these guys had pictures of them working on showers that looked really nice, at least I thought. Yeah. So I called them as well as probably about 10 other people. I had 5 or 6 make appointments, only 3 kept them, and of the 3, only 2 gave me an estimate. And Jordan, the wife, really played up the whole, woman-owned business, and that felt good. Like I wanted to hire a small business that's owned by a woman. And I don't know, it seemed legit.
So for me, the elephant in the room is what led to the breakdown? I mean, I'm just curious. Was there a lot of emails? Were they upset with you before this weekend? Walk me through that a little bit. Or were you seeing things you weren't satisfied with? Were you telling them you weren't satisfied with the work?
mean, and that was kind of one of the things people said too, is why'd you let it get that far? Well, I don't know anything about bathroom renovation. So, every day I'd kind of peek in the bathroom and like, okay, some new 2x4s are up. I don't know. That's probably right. I don't know.
Right. I get that.
And, it was supposed to be a 2-week thing. They were in my house for 6 weeks. They were sick. They had a death in the family. Somebody was exposed to COVID. It was all these things. And I felt like I was being really understanding and just kept saying, like, okay, it's fine. Don't worry about it. And then, you know, so the incident had happened Saturday morning. Thursday, when I got home from work, she was there kind of rushing around to clean up. She was leaving to go pick up her kids from school. Okay. I went and looked at it, and I thought, and that was the first time I'd seen, you know, on Wednesday, all that was down was the curb and the floor. So Thursday, the whole thing was quote unquote done for the most part, with the exception of the plumbing going in, the hardware going in. And I saw it, and I said to her, I'm kind of disappointed. I don't really know that I care for how it looks, but I understand you're not done. So I know you're going to be here tomorrow morning. Go ahead and finish it up. We'll see, you know, what it looks like after that. About 10:30 on Friday, I was at work, and she said, we're done. You can't run the water for 24 hours. And then 15 minutes later, she sent me an invoice and said, I need you to pay this as soon as possible.
And you said, not until I see it completed?
I said, well, you did say I can't run the water for 24 hours, right? She said, yeah. I said, well, I'd really like to run the water, make sure that it runs.
Very reasonable.
No, yeah. And I also said, you know, and I really just want to see it completely done. And she got kind of snippy, like, immediately with me and was like, you said last night that you understood that it was done. You need to pay me right now. And I'm like, well, I'm at work, so I'm not even home to check it. Okay. And from there, it just kind of kept going back and forth. And all day, she kept saying, like, you need to pay us right now. You need to pay us right now. And I said, I'm not going to keep arguing with you. I will pay you after I run the water and after I see it, and I'm happy with the end product.
Okay, so then how did you feel then so your neighbor took the video, or who took the actual video?
My neighbor and Jordan, the wife, both took videos. Okay. But the one that everyone sees is the one that my neighbor took.
So how did it go viral? And how did Jason hear about it?
Yeah, so I got home. Obviously, my neighbor, you know, everybody was calling me, telling me what was going on. I raced home from work. I called the police. And I kind of just sat on my couch, and it was this weird dichotomy of, like, well, they're clearly a little bit crazy. This is not a normal thing that people do, right? Like, normal people don't come back to a house and smash up a shower with a sledgehammer. And that was a very retaliatory thing for them to do. So if I post this online, I understand there's, like, a really good chance that, like, something bad could happen, right? And so maybe I shouldn't. But then there was this other part of me that's like, how many other people have hired these contractors and been screwed, and how many more people going forward are going to hire them and be screwed? And so I actually just put it on Nextdoor and on a local Facebook group just to say, do not hire these people. This is what they did.
Like in the local Colorado community?
Just in the local Colorado community. Okay. And then the news called, and they were like,
the local news, the local Colorado news called. Did you press charges? I didn't ask any of this beforehand. I want this to be, you know, pretty casual.
Yeah,
so
the state has pressed charges. They've both been charged with criminal felony, second-degree burglary, and felony criminal mischief. Yeah. So
has that been finalized? Yeah, that's in progress.
They have a disposition hearing on the 14th of this month where they can either accept their plea deal or they can go to trial. So we'll find out here in about a week what they're going to do.
Okay, so it just really, as we all know, right? Social media, the internet, this thing just started locally.
Yeah.
And when did Inside Edition contact you? I mean, good luck. Lisa Guerrero was there, right?
Yeah. So I actually happened to know it was a Monday morning because I am a huge Packers fan, and I was up late the night before watching a Packer game, and I may or may not have been driving to work with last night's makeup on.
I'm the biggest Packer fan in the world. My name's Bart. Me and Amber, we got a lot to talk about.
We do. But so I was on my way to work, and I was wearing last night's makeup, and Inside Edition called and said, can you do an interview on your lunch break at work? And I just remember thinking, like, I don't have any makeup at work, but sure. And so that was probably maybe, I don't know, 3 days after it happened.
So really that quick that this thing got picked up on, which meant if Inside Edition finds that they really felt like they found a story, right? Yeah. And there's a picture of
Lisa.
Right there with it going viral. So Jason, you know, I guess this is what we talked about, lessons learned, you know, references. You said you just had a hard time really getting anyone to respond to a quote. So, and this wasn't a $40,000 complete renovation. It was a $7,500 shower. But, you know, always, you know, we all want to start really promoting certification, definitely promoting shower certification. That's one thing that we've seen in the industry is a lot of people who set tile or say they are tile setters, some coming out of the flooring side, you know, they just really don't do showers. You know, they know how to lay out tile, and they can do a bathroom floor or an entryway, but you get into the shower and they don't properly pitch it, they don't waterproof it properly, and that's where we run into a lot of problems with unqualified labor doing showers. And you know, this is something that we're trying to make a passion in our industry, but we got a long way to go. And then, you know, the contract I did want to touch on, they probably gave you just like a sheet that says, you know, pay us 50%. Tell me a little bit about the agreement or the contract.
Yeah, that's the part where I actually do feel pretty stupid. But again, you want to trust people. I think most humans have a tendency to want to trust other human beings. They just sent me an email and said, here's the estimate, and if things change along the way, we'll send you new estimates, and then sent me an invoice for $2,000. That was it. There was no, I didn't sign anything. There was nothing really laid out. Nothing was itemized. At the end, when we were kind of discussing payment, they were supposed to have ordered a glass wall for the shower, and they told me that it was like 6 weeks out and that company would come install it. And I had asked, can I get the name of the company? Can I get a receipt? Can I get an order number or something? Because I'm not paying for that until that's put in.
And that was over and above the scope. That was a different
That was part of the contract, but she refused. She said, I'm giving you a breakdown of what we spent. Yeah. I'm not going to, it's not broken down. It was one price.
And, and generally, I mean, it's very common to have like a 50% down and 50% upon completion. So
seemed reasonable.
In the video, they talk about it's their property, but really, it really probably wasn't, because you gave them a 50% down deposit, right?
I think I gave them 3 payments, and I think I probably gave them a total of almost $4,000 already.
All right. So, Jason, over to you. How'd you hear about it? What? This must have just grabbed you, and you decided to do.
Totally.
Because everybody who doesn't know Jason, most do. Jason's not Colorado, okay? Jason's Portland.
Yeah, Portland.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I was actually in Chattanooga with Scott Carroll, and we were hanging out, and somebody had sent me a text message and said, "Hey man, did you see the video in GTP?" And I was like, "Nah." So I looked at it, and obviously, when you see something like that, you know, immediately you're just part of you is like, what? Like, this isn't real, you know? And so it just kind of stuck with me, got on a plane, went home, and I was sitting, you know, in the I just remember kind of standing at the island, you know, Kim was there, and I just said, you know, like, this is bothering me. Like, I feel like, I mean, the ego in me said, I can't watch somebody else redo this bathroom. That'll make me crazy. So, you know, I just thought, I got to do something about this. So I went on Facebook, and she wasn't listed on Facebook, and I just felt this really strong urge to, like, I've got to find a way to get involved in this. So I ended up going on LinkedIn, which is just not a place I hang out in very often, but I had to spend $60 and get a Primo account so that I could send a message.
Found her on LinkedIn?
Absolutely, yeah. Cost me $60, you know, quick click on a button, and the next thing you know, I sent Amber a message, and you know, I think what I said was, listen, you know, I'm a tile contractor, and I have the means the resources to get this thing done, paid for at no expense to you, and I'll fly out to Colorado and take care of it. So I remember sitting in my truck thinking, there's no way she's gonna message me back, and it was really within a few, like 5-10 minutes, she sent me a message.
Wait a minute, I think I'd be messaging him back too.
Yeah. So I get the message back, and of course Amber is so, I mean, as you get to know Amber, you realize just how genuine she is. I mean, part of her thinking in this was that she had gotten reached out to by a couple local contractors there, which
I think it's important people hear
we
this.
need to name, you know, Matt Capo and Jeremy Johnson. The video was originally posted by Jeremy Johnson, and those two played a huge role in this.
These are Colorado contractors in Amber's community.
Yeah, so it turned out that she said, you know, we ended up getting on the phone, and she said, Jason, you know, in fairness to them, I'd like this to be done by a Colorado contractor. So thank you for your offer. And I said, look, if you need anything going forward, send me pictures, call me. If you just need a sounding board, I'm here. And so they were coming, the two guys, Jeremy and Matt, were coming to her house here within 30 minutes.
I was getting off the phone with you as they were walking up,
as
I was pulling into my driveway, and they were walking up to my door. So,
and what worked out really great, which, you know, I still kind of can't believe it, but they walked in the house, and it turned out that they both knew who I was. So it was kind of
once I got your name right.
So the power of the posse, right?
Yeah, it was. Initially, I just kind of said, you know, I talked to this guy. He said he can supply all these things, and he's in Portland, and he can come down and do this. And they were like, no, we got this. You don't need him. We're getting together. We're getting all these Colorado we got this. We don't need him. And I was like, Jason something? I don't know. I was like, I think it's like his company's the Stone Man. And they were like, the Stone Man? Oh, yeah, no, he can come. He can come. really? The Stone Man said he'd come do it? He can come. And so then that was that. That was the team.
Yeah, I mean, so, I mean, it was really great. She called me right back, and, I mean, the wheels started turning, and I thought, cool, let's do this. Let's, let's have some fun with this. Let's, pull out all the stops,
So you got interviewed. I remember, like, who interviewed?
Portland? So, Colorado, the local news, I did a quick little interview with the local news, and then that played in Colorado Springs, which was great. And, there's a lot of moving parts that I don't know that anybody really knows just the amount of work it took. I mean, I tried to get, we had to get a local contractor that could carry the permit. There was a window that was installed, properly. It needed to have, there was a permit for the plumbing. There was an electrical permit. There was a mechanical permit. And there was an engineering permit for the header over the window. So in order to do all that, you have to have a drawing of the space. You can't just go down and get a permit. So I had to line up to have a contractor at the house the day we were demoing, because I had a 7-day turn. I had to get this thing turned in 7 days.
So were Matt and Jeremy doing that, or you were coordinating
so
that?
It ended up just, I'm kind of I'm not a sit and wait guy. Like, if I've got something in my head, I'm going to attack it as hard as I can. So Matt and Jeremy were amazing, and they played a huge part in this. But, I found the contractor, and
you kind of project managed.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that it's hard when you have 3 contractors, because I didn't know them. I don't know how they work. So it was kind of like Amber and I kind of came up with a pact. Like, she said, Jason, I trust you. Yeah. You take the lead. So that's what happened. And then I started calling, Ardex and Ruby, and I could try to get, a good care package sent over. We had to get her set up with the tile shop so that she could pick out her material. I had to get the timeline set to do a 7-day turn, start to finish, with inspections, curbless, floor heat, custom scribe. I called Angie Halford and got a Columbine flower for the back of the niche, because it's a state flower, Colorado. So, I mean, there's so many moving parts. As contractors in here know, it's hard enough to finish a shower in 7 days, 2 weeks, with all these inspections. It was a burner.
Yeah, so let me interrupt real quick. So back to you, Amber. What was your process with the former contractor to select tile, and then how was your experience then, how this went next? Tell me a little bit about that.
I never actually thought about it, but it's funny. So the former contractors had said, what do you want for a bathroom? Go on Pinterest, find some bathrooms you like, send us pictures. Okay. I found a bunch that I liked. There was one I specifically really liked. And they said, okay, and then they showed up with stuff. Like, it wasn't.
Okay, so you didn't have a lot of options. So then in this process, you got a local supplier, right? Jason, who was?
Yeah, it's a tile shop.
So who donated? The tile was donated?
Tile shop donated all the tile, and Ardex and the tile shop have a really good relationship. So it just worked out that it was somewhat of a drive for Amber to go up, but we set up a time for her to go up there. And then I kind of thought, hey, let's do a scribe, kind of like a Colorado Rockies like scribe, and so we just said pick out kind of she had a wood plank looking floor to begin with, so we thought, let's do that. We've got a linear drain, it'll all kind of work. So we had it all kind of set up. Before she got there, I was on the phone with Jeremy with the tile shop. They had a full line of stuff set up for her so that when she walked in the door, she could just pick out what she wanted.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, Jason's connections really stepped in, and so many people really helped you selecting your tile and getting the tile donated. You got all the materials donated, and the guys donated their labor. So I'd say I called Jason when I heard about it. I said, can I do it? He said basically he had everything kind of covered. But I just want people to know Jason was doing this for nothing. Literally leaving Portland and doing it for nothing. So we sent him a little something just to say, Jason, you should be at least making something on this. So NTCA, wanted to help him a little bit as well. But, this kind of led us to, kind of develop a consumer section on our website. It's going to be live in May, because this is kind of the thing. It's like consumers need to know what should they be looking for, in a quality shower. So this is just me showing you kind of like, it done right and it done wrong. And, kind of like, what are what should I be looking for? Is my shower leaking? So I just thought I'd share that and do that. And these are the things we see, right, on a regular basis. And I don't know, maybe we got some pictures and we're going to talk about that. But when you first saw it, Amber had a video, and it's probably not productive to just show the poor workmanship. But what did you first?
I mean, obviously, you kind of walk into that. First thing was I was like, dude, I'm in this bathroom right now. This is crazy. Just the fact that I had the opportunity to do it. Still, I was pinching myself the whole time. Obviously, I don't want to bash. I reached out to both of these people, and we offered them an NCCA membership, you know.
The people, oh, you did,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
and just said, look, if there's a way that we can help get you some training, I sent them private messages to try to.
The damage was probably done.
Yeah, and then she reached back out, but she was a tough one. So, you know, when I first saw the work, to me, I mean, you know, there's exceptional 0.01 work. There's, you know, 90, 80% work. There's in between. This was bottom of the barrel 1%. Like, I mean, it was so bad that, I mean, without even seeing what was underneath it, some of the stuff that I saw, you cannot believe as a tile contractor, even when I was spot bonding and I was doing things improperly, this is not okay, but it looked good, right? So it was done wrong, but it looked good. This didn't even look good.
Yeah, so that's right. We called this what lies beneath, which is, you know, basically a lot of times an installation does look good, but it's not working. It's leaking behind the scenes, you know. But like you said, this one was
we took it apart.
So really, Amber should have known, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean, honestly, it was something that we took it apart. There were nails in the pan liner. There was no.
Well, she shouldn't know that, but she should know
it was so bad. It was bad.
You know, so okay, out of these, Jason, what was it?
Well, I mean, I think definitely even it was a 3x6, hard to spot bond, but they did it. So there was a little bit of 3x6 spot bonding there. Improper slope to drain, which is just a given.
Improper waterproofing.
No waterproofing. No waterproofing. Yeah.
What about? But the pan liner was.
Pan liner was. They didn't have blocking in the wall with the pan liner. You have to have blocking in the wall because it can't, so it doesn't push back into the wall. And this pan liner was actually stapled back to the footing. So I mean, water would have been in her roommate's, you know, hair the next day. I mean, it was like it was awful.
So what are we seeing here?
I mean,
this is the sledge. This is the damage they did by tearing.
There was actually already dry rot. They didn't fit. We ripped out every single stud in that back wall and redid it because it was all rotted out. Sheetrock, and there's a bunch of sheetrock in the shower with no waterproofing, no mesh tape.
Is this something you do on a regular basis? I mean, you know, as a tile.
Sheetrock in the shower?
You know, no. I mean, I'm dumb, but I'm not that damn dumb, right? No, do you do a lot of the actual construction?
I mean, I am a general contractor in Portland, but I only do the things that I'm qualified to do. So if I take on a master bath reno, which is what we specialize in, I have a licensed plumber, I have a licensed electrician, and then I have a licensed contractor that can do, I'm not going to install a window, I'm not a window guy. So yeah, I mean, it didn't have any flashing at all. That is what was there when we pulled the window out. The window was, 1 inch out of square. I mean, it was terrible.
Did they explain any of that, like to you about like who does what in your contract? Yeah.
Well, they just did it all, mostly the wife. They also added to my bill to replace the rotted wood that they'd never replaced. One thing that they had told me, and this was maybe the point where it was like the first, that's weird, was I had a window that opened side by side. The problem is when I was standing under the shower, if I opened the window, it started here and went up. And so my neighbors would be able to just look in my window while I'm showering.
Yeah.
And so I had asked if there was a way to I wanted a new window that wouldn't do that. And they said, we can just flip it. And so I think what happened was they tried to flip it, realized you actually can't do that, and they put it back, and then we couldn't even get it open or closed.
Yeah.
So they just made it worse, and then charged me to replace all the rotting wood that they didn't charge, or they didn't replace. So.
Yeah, there you go. There's the sheetrock on the inside and outside. There's a nail. There was multiple nails on the pan liner, top and inside.
Yeah, I think.
This was obviously this is when we started doing our work.
Yeah.
What you can't see is that we had a plumber come in, do all the rough-in plumbing, and we had a rough-in inspection on the plumbing that was passed by the city. So there's your rough-in.
This is great. And this is
so there's the pan liner and that's the curb, which anybody that takes, that, I mean, don't get me wrong, it all needs to be waterproof, but all that water goes to those bottom sides of the front side of the curb by the door and the opening. So that right there on that picture on your right is where the pan liner was folded back.
So what was there before, Amber? It was a bathtub, right?
It was the original bathtub, and the house was built in, I think, 72 or 74.
So you wanted the bathtub torn out and a walk-in shower put in.
Right.
What about, how did they construct the curb? I don't know if I asked you
It was
that.
wood. I mean, the other thing about tub hops, and when you change a tub to a shower, depending on where you are, showers are 2-inch drain and tubs are 1.5 inches. That's one thing that's always overlooked. Some people do reducers, and you can't do that. It won't pass an inspection. So they just had a reducer. They went from that offset tub drain to they had a it went from 2-inch drain in the shower to the 1.5 inches because you have to change all that. So they didn't do any of that.
So, and I might have missed this. What was the backer board that was in there?
Sheetrock.
They put sheetrock with pan liner and no waterproofing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it might have had maybe a single coat of Hydroban. It was really hard to tell because they put green board in there because, a lot of people think that green board's the answer to all waterproofing. I think that it was green board. There was a little bit of mesh tape. The bench was built out of 2x4s, no waterproofing at all.
So with the sheetrock, there wasn't a Carity, like
no
a membrane?
No Carity liner, no nothing. Yeah.
So it was completely going
to...
no. This thing was going to rot within a year.
It would have absolutely failed instantly. She would have been having problems with that house, without a doubt.
I know.
It was the worst thing I've ever seen.
I mean, I don't even know really. I don't see a lot of tile sheetrock installations anymore. Do you run into that?
Not very. I mean, if I do, they put Carity over it, right? I mean, that's
yeah.
But now sheetrock. I mean, sheetrock doesn't belong in a shower.
And yeah, we talked about this. So you got everybody kind of out there. These are even tools and everything.
I want to make just quickly. And the reality is that obviously I wanted Jeremy and Matt to feel like they were part of it. So I called Ruby, got them 36-inch magnets, and I also got IQ to give them both saws and HEPA-Vacs. So IQ and Ruby and Art, it was huge. They sent all this over to give to those two guys for donating their time. It was pretty cool.
How long were all these guys and everybody in your house?
I don't even know anymore. I mean, he was just there the week, but to be fair, Jeremy Johnson was just at my house on Tuesday to follow up on something that's going on with some code thing that I don't know about. But they've stayed in touch. Even after Jason left, they were still over there finishing things up. I was a little bit worried that once Jason left, everything would just fall apart. But I mean, Matt's in Denver, so he's a little further. And Jeremy's in Colorado Springs.
And that's where you live, Colorado Springs.
Yeah. So
okay.
he's been really helpful in just finishing up the project, making sure everything was done.
And Will White from Ardex helped you too?
Yeah, I got to tell you, I mean, it would not have happened without William White. I mean, William and I work together in Portland all the time, so we are a really good team. He understands how I work. Adam Gasper was there. You see him on the left. He was a huge part of this. Just making sure that when I got there that I hit the ground running and had everything. Adam was instrumental in that. And Ardex, they were immediately jumped on board. It was great. Everybody was really incredible. Rapid Recess, Bill Parker, Rapid Recess. And then I don't want to forget Quick Drain, Daryl Jones with Quick Drain. I've really enjoyed using Quick Drains, and I wanted to do a linear back of shower drains, curbless, so it was great. They donated the drain.
How long were you out? How long were you in Colorado Springs?
The shower took a total of 6 to 6.5 days. From demo to absolute finish, it was 6 to 6.5 days with every inspection passed by the county.
If you were doing this by yourself or do you work solely by yourself as a sole, or do you usually have a helper?
I mean, I have installers right now. And, so yeah, I mean, if I'm doing something specific like this, then I prefer nobody to be setting tile with me. I'd rather be alone.
Because it's such a small, confined area?
No, just because people think I'm nuts and I don't like to deal with that. So, I just
they
like
don't
to
think
set tile.
they know.
A lot of these people, the tile setters over here, my GTP crew over here, like, they know that when you are setting tile to that extreme, that a lot of times having people around is just a bother.
All right, so the contractor she hired, what's realistic? What would have been a realistic time frame? What did they tell you? It was going to be a...
They told me like maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that's what they
so
told
that's
me.
realistic.
Yeah, 2-3 weeks with inspection would be, with the inspections would be a normal turn for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I should point out, they didn't get any inspections. So they didn't actually pull any permits.
There were no you found that out later? There were no building permits?
Yes, the Pikes Peak area regional building department, I can't remember all the initials, they actually, I think, are pulling their license based on that. But yeah, they came out, they said there was 3 or 4 permits that should have been pulled and they weren't.
So was there anything challenging to this installation, Jason? I mean, when you got there, I mean, other than redoing the damage that existed?
I think the biggest challenge was, and I have a lot of respect for everybody that helped. The biggest challenge for me is working with other people that I don't know and getting over that thing where, you know, that trust.
Yeah.
You know, obviously Matt and Jeremy accomplished tile setters, but there was something in me that just was, I have a really hard time trusting that somebody, and so for me, that was the difficulty, is that I had to find a way to just take a deep breath and say, all right, like it's all gonna work out, you know, you have to worry about it, and then finding Steve Sells was incredible. He was the GC in Colorado Springs. Getting those timelines lined up from Portland, you know, it was so like, we had like a 15-minute window of make this picture, draw it, go down to the county, get the inspection. If that doesn't happen, we're delayed a day and I can't get home to set tiles. So the timelines were rough.
Yeah, you don't, how did you get in the trade? Because you didn't work in a commercial for like with a bunch of crews, right?
No, I was a stone fabricator,
Yeah.
you know, and then I started a business.
So you're used to working by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a crew for the last 4 or 5 years, and the only person I really work well with is Randall and my brother.
So did Inside Edition, after they came, Amber, were they a part of the, did they come and do it after when it was all done? Or what happened with this story?
Yeah, they actually just hired like a cameraman from Denver to come and get the finished product and ask me a few questions, and then
Yeah.
they did a wrap up.
Yeah, so which is good, because, you know, we have the bad, but we want to turn this into the good, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And this is, you know, all the time. So what was your, I guess, your first thought about Tile Guys, and then after what you saw, what's your impression?
I mean, it just seems like there's 2 different worlds, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole lot of people, especially in a market like Colorado's is right now, with all these home builds, and there's, you know, the market is booming as far as people wanting to live there. There's a lot of people out there, I think, that say they can do work that they can't do because they know that people need to hire somebody. And then there's people who are certified and do a really good job and are very particular about how the project turns out. I was going to use a different word, but
we want more of us. We want more of
that,
guys.
you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I guess that's the one thing that, you know, at the NTCA, we've been joining with other groups, and we're working on what they call as a labor shortage, right? We hear it all the time. And, but, you know, I think the bigger issue is that it's not a labor shortage, because that's bodies, right? You can throw bodies at a labor shortage. Our industry is a skilled industry.
Qualified labor, yeah.
And it takes several years, in my opinion, to be a really good tile setter that can do what you needed done, which is to tear out a tub and replace it with a shower, and to do it properly, and to waterproof it. And so it's a skilled labor shortage is what we have. And the only way to address that is to really, really grow our trade and train them,
Yeah.
right? And certify them. So
Yeah, I think it's a
that's
little
really
scary,
what we're
Bart.
talking
I
about.
think it's scary, Bart. I think that, you know, just quickly, like, the fact that the tile industry is changing and evolving so much with so much curbless. I mean, I say it all the time. If you have not mastered interior curbed showers, you should never be taking on floor heat, curbless, all this stuff. And so I think there's a long way to go to get this trade where it is, you know, as far as qualified labor.
Yeah, and I think it takes a collective approach,
Absolutely.
which is, you know, the NTCA has, I think now we have 6 trainers going around the country in vehicles, and that's great. We know there's other training entities that are out there. I think the key is that we're really seeing is that the manufacturers are starting to also do a lot of training with their technical teams
Yeah.
and their technical
great.
reps, and that's going to be really, really important, because you have to train people on basic skills, you know, layout and proper mixing and all of that, but you also have to train people on all this new technology.
New technology.
Yeah, that's going on. So, by the way, if anybody has any questions or, you know, wants to ask any questions, feel free. I'm showing just kind of a few more. This is all the reinstallation.
Yeah, we
right?
did the rapid recess, which for curbless, you know, it's not for every situation, but the rapid recess kit is really great because it is exactly what it says. it is rapid.
Are these products that you use?
Yeah, I mean, I've
regular?
used the Rapid Recess Kit multiple times. It just depends on the substrate, you know. I mean, this substrate happened to be the joists were reasonably level. So, you know, Rapid Recess is great when you have, you know, TGIs or a reasonably level substrate. So we got lucky with the joists.
Yeah, and then this is, you know, I'm just basically talking about the actual substrate preparation.
Yeah, we're putting down FlexBone heat there.
How about
Yeah,
close to perfect?
and
How
just
about the
showing,
preparation
you know, directionally troweling, keying in. There was a vent there, which we did a little tileable vent, which ended up being really cool. Then I think that was pre-pan, I believe. That you can see the drain in the background.
Who's doing that work there?
That's
Is that,
me,
That's
yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Sorry, Jason.
That's
can't
all right.
see.
So that's the, yeah, just doing the, making sure we got the FlexBone heat down there good. And then we actually poured liquid backer board.
So
over
you
top
got
of that.
you got heated in there too?
Yeah.
This worked out pretty good for you, Amber.
It worked out a lot better than I thought it was going to. I'll say that.
I actually got a lot of noise about that. People were like, "Man, why are you doing all this stuff?" And
Well, I think it's good. It's
well,
a
in
learning
my mind, I'm
experience.
thinking I'm going to be here. We're all going to be here, and it doesn't take longer to do these things. It just takes the skills. It's not like doing a curbless shower is so much longer than a curb shower. I mean, in fact, in some ways, it can be faster.
So you're laying down the sheets
Yep,
now?
FlexBone heat and then the heat gets, you know, kind of put in there and just kind of getting it in place. We used S28, which is a rapid, you know, thixotropic mortar that is really good for bonding and coverage with those applications.
So is your floor warm? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very warm.
Wi-Fi, actually, yeah.
Yeah, I can.
I'm
control
jealous
it from
because
my
I don't
phone.
have it. I want it. Yeah.
Call this guy.
Maybe get you to Mississippi.
Yeah, soon. Yeah. I totally forgot we took this video.
Yeah. It's pretty
So
cool.
it's good, yeah.
Okay. And so, you know, I was hearing saw everybody raise their hand, a lot of installers. You know, I guess I'm going back to you on this. I know, I'm thinking of one of my recognized consultants, Todd Duhay in New Orleans. New Orleans is unbelievable city. And I've been down there a bunch of times because I live 2.5 hours away. You know, beautiful houses, $1 million houses. He took me to about 9 of them. Every one of them were shower failures.
Yeah.
Every one of them were horrible. And I mean, workmanship as bad as I've seen.
Yeah.
And Todd's basic point, what he wanted me to see was, these were $1 million houses. You know, these were high-end homes. And his business is basically completely 100%. He has a contracting business and a consulting business. His contracting business, he couldn't get any work from those builders on new construction because his prices were too high. So basically, all of his business is tearing out 2-year-old $1 million home showers and reinstalling them. And I've made kind of a mission to share that wherever I go.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what we saw here a little bit.
Yeah, I think that this is, I mean, it's something that maybe is talked about sometimes, and I've been talking about it a lot lately with the homies over there. But, you know, this is a story of how social media really worked out great, right? But there's a part of social media that isn't so great. And what that is that you have a lot of people out there, you know, on YouTube and on Instagram and on these platforms. They think they are tile coaches and they're DIY people. And I mean, you know, what I'm seeing right now is somebody putting a video up that says how to install a foam pan in 3 easy steps. And that is just not the reality. So a lot of what you're seeing out there with failed showers, I would guess, is probably somebody who decided to be a tile setter and watched a YouTube channel from some guy that doesn't know how to set tile. So that's where social media can be a problem, is that most of the people, you know, minus Sal and those things, are teaching tile on social media, and none of them are certified to do it.
Yeah, it's actually a big issue because how would Amber know where to go, right?
Yeah.
This is why we're at NTCA, we feel we need to create a whole
100%.
consumer section.
Absolutely.
Because the reality is, as you said, a lot of people are, and some people are getting paid, you know, money or sponsorship because they get likes, right?
Yep.
Or they get people to
it's
watch
about
the
how
video.
many followers you have, and the company that is sponsoring them doesn't care about the content. They only care about the followers.
That's
and it's
right.
a shame because it's really it's just compacting the problem is all it's doing.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at this. Yeah. So what'd you pick out? You picked out a wood. Yeah. Talk about that.
Yeah. And I know I got some flack for this on social media. Thank you, social media. I apparently was supposed to get a fancier shower, but I didn't really want a fancy shower. I'm not a fancy person. I just wanted my nice little tiny closet-sized bathroom to be a very relaxing spa-like environment for me to relax at the end of the day. I love the look of all the white. I think it just looks really clean. I didn't even know they made wood plank tiles, and I'm obsessed with them. I love them. But yeah, obviously now that it's complete, it looks a little bit different, but I've got some plants in there and some candles, and it's kind of perfect.
Yeah, but how big is the shower?
It's just a standard 3x5, or tubs aren't normally 3 feet, so it's 30, but we got as much out of it as we could. There's a 15 inches to the toilet code there that you have to honor, so yeah, we got as much out of it. We did a little solid surface. Jeremy Johnson had I love doing quartz benches and quartz shelves and niches, so we got a nice Schluter trim around the edge and tile base.
And that's Angie's flower in there?
Yeah, Angie's flower, yeah. If you do a curbless shower, you need to do tile base, period. Just don't ever do wood base. I have to say that. So,
no,
yeah,
that's okay. That's your feeling is a curbless shower?
If you do curbless, you got to do tile base. I mean, wood does not belong that close to a shower that has water in it.
But was your drain centered, or it wasn't a linear drain in a shower like that?
It was a linear. It's a back wall linear that you.
Okay,
yeah,
I
we
see
just
it,
put that. That's the great thing about linears and quick drains is that they're so adaptable. So at this point, I had done a couple dozen, and we were able to get it right up against the back wall.
What was your drain in the? What was the drain in the first? Yeah.
Well, they moved. It was a regular tub drain, and then they moved it to the center.
So they had center. They had
a center drain, and we just got really lucky. And
did you relocate everything?
Yeah, I had a backup plan. I said, okay, if we can't get the plumbing right, if we got to rip apart a bunch of joists, then we're just going to go, probably do like a weedy ligno center drain curbless. That was kind of our, Bedrosians were there. We were like, cool, we can just get it and come in the same day. So it just turned out that we got really lucky. We were able to do the plan.
So then the tile on the floor is larger then, right? Because you've got the linear drain.
Yeah, and the quick drains don't work well with doing pebbles in them. So my thought was, let's do the Colorado Rocky Scribe and kind of end it before the drain. I like wood plank tile, and I like the contrast, the white and the dark. And then with the base, everything has Schluter on it. It's all trimmed out. And then, Angie, I sent Angie a message. Matt Capo did the scribe of the Columbine flower in the niche, and I love those little inside infinity niches. They just look great. So it really turned. And then the Robert Ford sent that sledgehammer that he built for the toilet paper, which
that's pretty cool. I didn't see that. I put this presentation together. Didn't even
originally
really see
it wasn't a. He actually the true story of that was that Robert wanted Amber to destroy that sledgehammer on a live video, and when we got it, we looked at it, and I think it was, I can't remember, it was Jeremy or somebody or Matt said this would be really cool as a toilet paper. So Matt and Jeremy rigged it up so that the toilet paper could sit. We had to fabricate that little.
And what's
ring
next to it there then on the floor?
So that's the Easter egg.
That's the
right?
Easter
that's
egg?
the Easter egg. Yeah. Jeremy Johnson decided. Somebody said, let's do a sledgehammer underneath the vanity. It's a floating vanity. It's kind of a Global Tile Posse trademark, like we were here.
That's pretty cool. And you let him do that?
Well, I was at work, but. To be fair to Jason, you had asked earlier what the differences between like the old contractors and Jason. One of the things is he's very communicative, and so he did text me and say, could we put a sledgehammer in the floor? And I was like, sure, go for it. Sounds cool. I'm glad they chose to do it under the vanity. So, I just think sometimes I think about it and I'm like, man, 50 years from now, somebody's gonna pull his vanity out and be like, what the hell is that?
What the hell is this? All right, and this is a great picture.
Yeah, there's Xander.
There's Alexander's great.
And then Jeremy there on the left, William White, Amber, myself, and then Matt Capo. And I really just want to take 30 seconds to say that these people in this picture are amazing. The fact that Jeremy and Matt, they have families. It's almost easy for me to leave aside from work because I don't have kids and a family, and William, and thank you so much to these guys. It was incredible to work with them, and thanks to Amber for trusting us.
Yeah, thanks for opening up, and thanks for sharing your story with us. I'm just I guess that's one more picture in the shower, and I just think this is such a to me when you and I did we did a one-to-one tile letter interview, and we talked about this, and I said, you know, would this be out there to ask Amber to come to Las Vegas and talk about this? I mean, we don't want to, you know, badmouth tile contract. You know, what's our goal here? But I think the goal is education.
100%.
Right? What we can really learn from this. So you're going to go get certified this afternoon. Tell me what your thoughts are. You know, there's so, you know, I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's a case for certification. And,
Yeah.
and you know, and I think it's going to be important to lead to shower certification because a CTI is not a shower test. But what are your thoughts on the CTI and why you think that's important?
Yeah, I mean, I love the CTI. I think that obviously it's, you know, it's a little, I mean, we can say that it is a little bit antiquated, but, you know, that's okay. The thing about the CTI is that if you know, you should be able to take that test and pass it if you're going to be in somebody's house. I mean, that's just the reality.
That's how I feel.
Depending on the amount of years that you've been setting tile, obviously you need to have some, you know, some skills. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely love, I mean, I'm an evaluator myself. I really believe in the program. I believe in what the NTCA and CTEF's doing with Brad Denny. I think it's incredible. That was a huge move there. He's relatable to, you know, to social media, which is really cool. So I love it. I mean, I'm going to go take my ACT, pass or fail. Part of the reason why I do it is because I know that I'm recognizable, good or bad. And you know, I want people to know that, you know, I might go take this ACT and not have a positive result. But if me doing this, you know, at Coverings live in front of a crowd gets 10 people to take their CTI, then that's worth it to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like to you, Amber, you know, it would mean a lot if you knew there was an actual certification that you could rely on.
Yeah, you know, again, I mentioned I new to being a homeowner. I didn't realize that certification existed. I can pretty much guarantee going forward, anybody I hire, I'm going to see if there's a certification for what they do and make sure that someone has it. But
at a minimum, you know, check references, right?
Yes,
but did you check references? You looked at pictures.
You know,
that's a funny story. Actually.
Yeah. So the people on Facebook who recommended them said they did work on my house. It was great. After this happened, I had probably 7 or 8 folks reach out to me.
To you. Yeah.
2 of them had referred them, and they said, I'm sorry that I referred them. They used to do really great work, and lately their work has been suffering. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to help them out, and I wanted to strangle them because I'm like, if you wouldn't have referred them, maybe I wouldn't have hired them. But they reached out to apologize, and so to me that was checking references, I guess. Now I know I need to call, and I've told Matt and Jeremy's taken me up on it. I'm like, if you guys want to use me as a reference, I'm all for calling references and talking to people on the phone now.
And something that needs to be said too, because we've talked about changing the narrative from the beginning. Amber is amazing. When we were in Colorado, we had a couple events. She went to those events. She hung out with us. She did not know tile contractors. She didn't know me. She didn't know who we were. She took the time out of her day to come to the events, to get to know everybody. She's here. The fact that anybody would say that this is her fault in any way, that is just a shame. This was a horrible thing that happened. I mean, she did not deserve this, and there is no excuse to go into somebody's house and get violent. So Amber is amazing.
Yeah, there just isn't. Does anybody have any questions or any comments? Yes, Jim. Yeah.
You kind of answered my first one, but I'm a little bit. You talked about checking references and that sort of thing. Is there anything else like? I mean, because you did some due diligence, probably as much as any homeowner does. Is there anything that you would go back and do differently?
Yeah, I mean, I think going forward, I'm going to ask for phone numbers, and I want to actually call and talk to people. Yeah, now I can just call Steve.
She's got Steve.
I have a GC now that I can just call.
Do we agree though that sometimes a problem with references is, you know, they're giving you their 2 best experiences, right?
Or their friends. Yeah. You know, now looking back on it, it's Facebook. Those people that said they did a great job on my house could have been their cousins. I don't know. You know, so.
Yeah. So I think references is tough too.
It can be. I think the reference thing can be tough. I mean, you get work based on your reputation, probably.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to that point to tell Amber how much we appreciate the willingness you had to let your story get so big. Because one of the things that we struggle with for people that we're taking the time to get certified, part of the NTCA, we take all the manufacturing trainings, and then we lose jobs over a lot less than $4,000.
Exactly.
And we can't say, hey, if we don't hire someone with these certifications, you never know someone we show up with a sledgehammer. That's not for us to threaten that, but your story helps to
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's very, very well said. You know, I'll go right back to you, Jim. About 10 years ago, I was part of a group of really dedicated NTCA members that worked really hard to get labor qualifications into the TCNA handbook, right? Where that didn't exist, where you talked about what is qualified labor, what does that mean? And we can do all that stuff till the cows come home. But until we really start, you know, really getting our own industry to be aware of, you know, don't put a person installing a shower that isn't qualified to install a shower. It's not, and we're not telling anybody to hire the most expensive bid, right? We're just telling people to hire the most qualified bid. You know, you can take the lowest qualified bid, but make sure whoever's going to do your work is qualified to do that work. You know, Jim, and then you, yeah.
So first, I just want to say the new bathroom is stunning. You know, I'm just looking at that thing. And especially if you contrast the before and the after. I mean, it's amazing. So
Yeah. Yeah, the work is excellent. Yeah, yeah.
But so, question I have is, it's my understanding, Amber, that you've had, like you and the other contractors, kind of like had your day in court, I guess. Can you talk about how like things were resolved between you and the other contractors?
Yeah, good
Sure.
question.
Sure. So a few things have happened. When this first happened, I immediately filed a temporary restraining order. They retaliated by filing a lawsuit against me. And so the judge in the restraining order case basically said that because they had pending criminal charges and this lawsuit, they actually felt as though the pending criminal charges and the lawsuit would keep them from doing anything. And they kind of put the restraining order, so to speak, kind of on hold. So like if they show up on my block, I can go back to court and they'll give it to me. They were both charged with second-degree felony burglary and felony criminal mischief. That process just takes a really long time. And so now we've got, like I said, the disposition hearing on the 14th. They'll either accept their plea deals or they will plead not guilty and go to trial. The lawsuit against me was for about $1,300. And they made it very clear it had nothing to do with the shower. And they were advised to say that by a lawyer because that meant I couldn't countersue them for my money back. They were suing for a back door that they hung, 2 ceiling fans, and the vanity that they put in.
Have you filed a countersuit?
I did not. So the judge awarded them $150 for a plumber friend that they called that replaced my hammer arrestor and said he was dismissing the rest of their claim, in large part due to Jason calling in and basically saying everything they did in that house was bad.
So that it was dropped. Okay.
I decided not to file the countersuit because I don't. What's the point?
You just want it over.
Well, and they don't have. It's not like they're going to say, sure, here's your $4,000 back. It's going to be $20 a week for the next 10 years of my life.
So you never got your $4,000
no,
back. I just learned that.
Yeah.
I didn't know
I mean, but for what? And I don't want to like sneeze at $4,000. Everybody could use $4,000. But I have a bathroom. It's beautiful.
Yeah, good for
I don't
you.
need it to fix the bathroom. Why continue to have that negativity? And then on top of that, to have to look at a $20 check from them every month for the next however many years. I'm like, and I've told Jason this, what you guys did and what he did and what Ardex and what everybody involved did was bigger than just giving me this bathroom. I go in that bathroom now, and what I actually think about is, this always makes me teary-eyed, sorry, just the goodness in people.
Yeah.
And if I would have just hired some guy to come fix that bathroom, maybe I wouldn't have. Maybe I would have walked into that bathroom every time and remembered that man in my house with the sledgehammer. But instead, I remember, you know, these local guys and Jason flying in and you guys helping and all these companies helping. And when you think about this army of strangers kind of coming to your rescue and fixing something and going above and beyond. I remember Jason saying he was going to do heated floors, and I was like, oh, that's not necessary. And he's like, no, you're getting heated floors. So it's like, it did more, it kind of, I don't want to say it erased the bad experience, but it's not what I think of anymore, and I didn't want to.
Well, congratulations to you
that,
for
so.
not turning this thing into just such an ugly bloodbath.
You know, Jim, I mean, talking to Amber initially, I mean, I was honest. I said, look, we need this.
Yeah.
Give us as an industry this opportunity to make this right. So to Amber's credit, she didn't know me. She had to trust another contractor, and that is not easy to do after the first one sledgehammered your house. Yeah. So you know, it was really great. I was very transparent, and Amber is absolute gold. She was just incredible the whole time.
That's great. Did you still have one more question? And it's time to go. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
seriously, that's no exaggeration. There needs to be some kind of certification. I mean, I've done steam showers where I ripped the old one out. There was nothing more than a chloraloid jam.
Yeah.
I mean, even a plywood bench in there. And the guy set the tile with mastic, no less. All right? I mean, absolute junk.
People hear
I mean,
mastic.
it keeps me going, but I hate to see people losing money like that.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. You know, that's the one thing we know, right? We know that tile is highly skilled compared to other flooring. And I'm not trying to bash other flooring. I just think tile has a lot more components to the work than putting carpet down, personally. So, you know, but we also know that there are, you know, very few license requirements in our industry. And it's very hard to do that nationally because every state and every local jurisdiction has their own codes and code requirements. So the only way to really, really promote our industry, you know, qualifications in our industry, is to develop certification that we administer through our own industry. And, you know, I understand, you know, all the logic or the arguments about not needing it sometimes. A person that's a really good tile installer for 20 years may not need a certification to prove that. But really, having certified installers really helps us to set the bar and to give confidence to people like Amber. That's why I think it's so important.
The other thing to do it is exactly what you're doing. You're in this room right now. You're here. You're in Las Vegas at Coverings, and that is how you make a case for your state and getting qualified labor and certifications up there. Is you know, I'm telling you right now, I've been in this, you know, social media, coming to these shows for 5-6 years now, and the Pacific Northwest, it's got a lot more certified installers in this 5 to 6 years, I can guarantee it. So you have a voice, you just got to use it.
Yeah, it'll build slowly. Well, I think you guys should give Amber and Jason a real a round of applause. You know, Jason, congratulations for creating Amber's negative experience and turning it into a positive. You know, that's really what Jason does. His Global Tile Posse. He's a very positive person, and TCA is proud to be associated with you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Amber.
Thank you.
Everybody have a great afternoon. Thanks again.